On my son's birthday, he asked me to disappear instead of giving a gift. I never saw it coming. I can still feel that moment, like a slap to my face. There was a tremor in his voice, a shiver of something deeper. We were surrounded by balloons and laughter, but the world felt heavy and silent, as if time had paused, just for us. Thomas stood there, eyes wide and glistening like the frosting on his cake. My heart raced. I thought maybe he was joking, a child's whim lost among the party chaos. "What do you mean, disappear?" I choked out, my throat tightening. It was too unreal. The laughter of friends, the cheerful chatter of relatives, all faded into a distant echo. He looked at me, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of fear and something else, desperation. I couldn't breathe. "I don't want a present, Mom. I want you to be free." His words felt like knives, cutting through the joy of the day that I thought back to all those times we'd shared. 10 years of birthday candles and wishes. I could still hear his giggles during story time, the way he hugged me tight every night, as if I were his whole universe. Now, his innocent laughter twisted into something dark, something I struggled to understand. My mind raced. My feet felt glued to the ground. "What do you mean by free?" I whispered, my hands trembling. Where would I go? I was losing him. The cake sparkled under the dim lights, its sweet smell taunting me. I felt the eyes of our family linger, confusion painting their faces. Had I failed him? I looked at the faces of friends, but they were all blurs, like a fog over my vision. I needed answers. Suddenly, the lights flickered, dimming. The room seemed to swell with an unnatural silence. Was it just my imagination, or did the shadows dance with a life of their own? Thomas' hand flew to his heart, as if feeling something peculiar, a weight forming, something profound. "Mom! Please!" he cried, a break in his voice that shattered my heart. The sound echoed against the walls, reverberating within me. My mind spiraled. Disappear? What was he really asking? What burdens did he see? A mother's worries, a life tangled in chaos. The world fell into an unbearable stillness. I felt my chest tighten, a lump forming in my throat. All the colors from the day turned gray. Understanding dawned. This was more than a child's wish. It was a cry for help, a plea intertwined with love and sorrow. And just as quickly as it began, the moment shattered like glass. "Mom!" he screamed once more, shaking my resolve. The urgency in his voice clawed at my insides, raw and desperate. A part of me wanted to protect him, take him in my arms and never let go. But the question loomed, heavy and bold: could I really disappear? Would it help him? And if I vanished, would I ever truly return? As I searched for a way to answer, my heart raced with fear and confusion. Just then, an eerie wind rattled the window, sending chills down my spine. I looked around, eyes on us, curious and questioning. I was caught in a storm, swallowed by uncertainty. "Mom!" His voice cracked, almost broken. And there I stood, suspended between his plea and the weight of my own heart. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In the days that followed the party, the echo of Thomas's words lingered, filling every corner of my mind like a haunting melody I couldn't shake off. The bright decorations I had hung with such excitement now felt like a weight on my heart. I thought of the laughter that had filled our home, now muted under the shadow of an unspoken truth. What did it mean to be free? And more importantly, What kind of prison had I created around us? Each morning, I found myself awake before dawn, staring into the darkness, wrestling with my thoughts. I worried if he could sense my turmoil, if he saw the way I tensed every time I caught his eye. My heart twisted when he approached, his small hands clutching a book or his favorite toy, seemingly unbothered by the upheaval that had intruded upon our lives. But I couldn't hide forever. One evening, while we sat at the dinner table, I watched as he pushed around the mashed potatoes on his plate, his fork trembling slightly in his grip. The air felt thick with unsaid words, the silence growing heavier with each passing second. It was a small moment, but I felt as though it held all the weight of the world. "Thomas," I began, the word catching in my throat. "What did you mean when you asked me to disappear?" He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes, but then quickly dropped his gaze to his plate. "I didn't mean it like that," he murmured, his voice small. I just wanted you to be happy." My heart ached at the truth behind his innocent words. What happiness had I stolen away? I had tried so hard to shield him from my fears and anxieties, yet it was obvious that my struggles had seeped through the cracks. "You make me happy, Thomas. But sometimes, I feel lost," I admitted, each word an offering of vulnerability. He nodded slowly, as if he understood more than I imagined. "Then why don't you just be with me more? You could stop worrying about everything. Is that what you want? Just me here with you?" "Yes." His response was immediate, eyes sparkling with hope. "I want our old days back, when you read me stories every night. When everything felt okay." A lump formed in my throat. Those days felt like a distant dream, wrapped in nostalgia. "I'll try," I promised, knowing that trying might not be enough. The weight of my own struggles felt heavy. How could I return to joy when I was still ensnared in shadows? That evening, I made a silent vow to reclaim what I could of our time together, yet each step forward felt like attempting to climb a mountain made of syrup. I found moments, small pockets of time when I could breathe in laughter or share a story, but they felt fleeting. One night, as we snuggled under a blanket, I told him a tale about a brave knight who fought his way through fantastical lands. Thomas's eyes shone with wonder, and for a moment, I felt a flicker of the connection that had begun to fray. But just as his eyelids grew heavy with sleep, the flickering light of a name haunted me. Donovan. The name echoed from the depths of my mind, a remnant of someone I had buried deep within me, a ghost I had thought I could leave behind. How could I disappear from that past, from the choices I had made? And why had I chosen to carry such burdens with me instead of freeing myself? The following day, while tidying up, I stumbled upon an old photo, the three of us, bright-eyed and bewildered, smiles painted across our faces beneath a sun-drenched sky. The past crashed into my present, and I felt the weight of unspoken emotions swirling around us, wrapping us in a bittersweet embrace. As I held the photograph, a thought flickered: perhaps to truly be free, I had to face those past choices, instead of allowing them to linger in the shadows. Perhaps that was the key to bringing happiness back into our lives. With newfound determination igniting within, I decided to confront the truth. I needed to find Donovan, to speak with him, to unveil the chapters that had remained unwritten in my heart. But just as I was gathering the courage to reach out, my phone buzzed unexpectedly. It was a message from an unknown number. "I know where he is." My heart stopped. My hand trembled, the weight of my decision bearing down on me. What had I stumbled upon? A chance at closure, or another twist of fate that would unravel everything? The room around me felt suffocating, and I knew, at that moment, that the answer I sought could either heal our wounds or shatter our fragile world completely. As my heart raced, I realized I was standing at the precipice, the choice looming before me as I held the photograph tightly in my grasp, and then the screen illuminated my face, waiting for me to respond. The silence in the room was deafening, the hum of the message a stark reminder of the choices I had to make. The photograph slipped momentarily through my fingers, landing softly on the carpet as I stared at the blinking cursor on my phone. "I know where he is," the words echoed in my mind, bouncing around like a pinball, igniting both hope and dread within me. Do I reply? Do I reach out to Donovan after all this time? The memories crashed against me like waves, each one carrying its own burden of guilt. What would I even say? Part of me wanted to dive headfirst into the murky waters of our past, to wrest back control from memories that had begun to suffocate me. Yet, another part whispered that perhaps leaving the past buried was safer after all. Wouldn't digging it up risk everything I had just begun to piece together with Thomas? The fracture between the two sides of me widened, creating an emotional chasm, and in the chaos of my thoughts, sudden, soft footsteps broke through. Thomas appeared in the doorway, his small silhouette backlit by the soft glow of the hallway light. His mop of hair fell into his eyes, yet he smiled, a beacon of innocence amidst my turmoil. "Mom? Can we play a game? I want to be the knight again." His smile tugged at my heart, a reminder of everything I had vowed to reclaim. I need a minute, buddy," I stammered, my heart aching as I glanced from the phone to him, feeling as if I were standing at a crossroads with no clear path ahead. "Okay," he said softly, casting a quick glance at the phone which I had instinctively turned face down. "But I miss you." The words pierced me. It was a simple sentence full of profound weight, and his earnest gaze, filled with hope, made my stomach twist. "You're right here with me, sweetheart." "I'm trying," I replied, but doubt infiltrated my voice. "Why don't you go get your toys, and they'll be right there." Nodding, he scampered away, the sound of his footsteps a comforting rhythm against the anxiety swirling inside me. As soon as he left the room, my heart raced even more than before. I couldn't flesh out the consequences of any call. The gravity of my dilemma pressed heavily upon my chest. After a deep breath, I finally released my grip on the phone, willing myself to step back from the potential chaos. I walked to Thomas's room, my heart already hesitating under the new weight of my decision. He was sitting on the floor, surrounded by his toys, constructing a fortress out of building blocks. "Look, Mom!" he exclaimed, beaming with delight. "It's a castle for the night. Can you help me build a bigger one?" His enthusiasm cascaded over me like sunlight breaking through clouds. In that moment, I felt my heart swell with warmth. This was what I wanted back: his laughter, his joy. "Yes, I can do that," I replied, kneeling beside him, deciding to focus on the castle in front of us rather than battling ghosts from an unfinished past. As we constructed towers and ramparts, the enchanting world we crafted started to bring us closer, drawing me inch by inch away from the weight of my unresolved emotions. For that brief period, I was cocooned in the magic of childhood laughter, the shadows of my worries momentarily dimmed in the brilliance of his imagination. Yet, as we built, I couldn't shake the discomfort prowling at the edges of my mind. The phone still buzzed impatiently in the other room, like a siren urging me to uncover hidden truths. Just as I was about to succumb to distraction, Thomas looked up at me, his expression suddenly serious. "Mom, do you think knights can get lost? Like when they go on adventures?" he asked, his innocence layering an unexpected depth to the question. Caught off guard, I hesitated, wondering how to answer. "Yeah, sometimes. But they find their way back, right? With courage and help." He nodded, seemingly satisfied with my response. "Then if you get lost, you'll come back, right?" His assumption, so innocent, dug deep into me. What did he know of my own battles with loss? I smiled, forcing the answer. "Always, sweetie. I promise." But as those words echoed in my heart, any comfort I found flickered like a candle's flame in a storm. In that moment of fleeting hope, my phone buzzed once more, an insistent pulse against the quietude of our sanctuary. Without thinking, I stood and walked toward it, Thomas' gaze trailing behind me. I took a deep breath, every possible outcome swirling in my mind. It was just a message, just a note from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Yet, in a beat like the turning of a page in a long-forgotten story, it felt as though history had come alive, and curiosity goaded me towards the screen. And when I finally grasped my phone, my breath hitched, the bright glow of the screen illuminating the next step in my journey. The message had transformed, becoming a series of cryptic words. find me before it's too late." The room spun, and just like that, the warmth of my son's laughter faded into the background, the walls of my carefully crafted world seemingly closing in. I turned to face Thomas, who watched me with wide, trusting eyes, oblivious to the whirlwind that was about to engulf us. My heart sank as I realized, even in our happiest moments, the shadows of my past were never far behind, ready to reclaim their hold. With the weight of the message pulsing in my palm, I finally understood the terrifying truth of freedom. It came with the high price of choices unmade, fears unspoken, and hearts left open to unknown dangers. And so, as I stood at the threshold of my own reckoning, the silence echoed louder than ever before, and I knew the adventure had only just begun. A chill coursed through me, the message's words clinging to my mind like a shroud. "Find me before it's too late." My heart raced, twisting in anticipation and dread as I turned the phone over in my hands. No longer was this just about Donovan, it had morphed into something bigger, something darker. Thomas's laughter seemed far away now, a haunting melody of simpler days echoing in my ears, reminding me of everything I wanted to protect. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to focus on the moment, to ground myself. Thomas was here, my knight with a fortress made of colorful blocks, blissfully unaware of the storm raging inside me. "Mom?" The single word from him tugged me back. He stood before me, still kiddish with the remnants of happiness, but now concern knitted his brow. "Are you mad? You look funny." "That I am okay, baby. Just thinking. What do you say we finish this castle?" I managed a smile, hoping to mask the tempest within. Every moment spent in his world of make-believe felt like an anchor, but the weight of the message threatened to pull me away. His eyes sparkled briefly. "Okay. But this castle needs a dragon. Can you help me find one?" I shook my head lightly, the absurdity of it all wrapping around me. "I think we can manage with some creativity." I swept up a stuffed dinosaur, presenting it with an exaggerated flourish. "Meet Sparky the magical dragon." Thomas burst into laughter, the sound echoing around the room and momentarily brightening the gathered shadows. We resumed our playful banter, his infectious giggles helping to fend off the encroaching darkness. But as the castle grew larger, so did my unease, a crack forming within my fortified heart. After a while, the play session began to wind down, with Thomas, arms sprawled around the towering castle, looking completely content. I seized the opportunity as I tucked a lock of hair behind my ear, finding the courage to ask, "What do you want for your birthday, sweetheart?" "There's still time." His face lit up with the kind of innocent joy that only a child could muster. "I just want you to be happy, Mom. I don't need anything else." A stab of pain pierced my heart. The unspoken words lingered like unturned pages, each one adding to the emotional weight. The sacrifice of my past for this present was a dangerous tightrope, and I feared falling off it. "Are you sure there isn't anything you want? A new toy? Or no? If you're unhappy, then I'm unhappy," he interjected, an unexpected seriousness filling the space between us. His vulnerability pierced through my defenses. "You know, it's like when the knights go to battle and they fight the monsters so they can protect their kingdom. I just want my kingdom to be happy. Otherwise, what's the point?" His words hung heavy, settling in the air like a thick fog. I could feel the walls of my heart tightening, and I wanted to tell him that my happiness was tangled with my past, that I longed to fight my own dragons for both of us. But how could I explain it to him without overwhelming him? "Thomas," I began slowly, searching for the right words. "There's a lot I've had to deal with over the years. Some of it makes me feel lost. I want to find my way back too. I just don't know how." For a moment, I saw the flicker of maturity in his eyes, an understanding far beyond his years. "Then maybe you should go on your own adventure, or hey, what if you became a knight? Like a real knight? You could save your own kingdom." The innocent suggestion twisted deep within me, awakening something long buried. Could I truly embark on such a journey? The thrill of hope punctured the gloom around me, illuminating a path I hadn't considered. "Maybe," I whispered, feeling the flicker of aspiration begin to rise like the dawn after a long night. I could be a knight, yeah. Then you'll find the treasure, he exclaimed, bouncing on his knees. And when you do, you can come back. You have to promise to come back. Of course, I promise, I replied, swallowing the lump in my throat. But the comfort was fleeting. In that moment, as his small hands reached out, an unsettling truth clawed at the back of my mind. The message still loomed like a storm cloud, demanding resolution. I hadn't simply signed up for an adventure, I was on the brink of confronting a past fraught with danger, secrets, and heartbreaks that could shatter everything I held dear. We lingered in the room for a little longer, the silence wrapping around us with a different guise now. I basked in the glow of his laughter and the safety of our fortress, yet the storm outside was roaring, relentless and close. Mom? Thomas broke the silence, pulling me out of my spiral. What if you can't find your way back? What if you get lost forever? Like a knight who can't find their castle, his question landed heavily, ricocheting off my heart. I found my breath caught in my throat. Time stretched taut as I processed, realizing the gravity of his words. Did he sense the depths of disquiet buried within me? What if he knew that by confronting my past, I was risking everything and could, in fact, disappear? Then I breathed, forcing a reassuring smile, though the tremor in my voice betrayed me. Then I would always be thinking of you. If I ever feel lost, I know you'd be my beacon, guiding me home. His eyes sparkled, understanding my hesitation without knowing its entirety. Good. Because I need my knight. I leaned down, pulling him close and wrapping my arms around him in a protective embrace, wondering how I would ever summon the courage to confront my past. The weight of the message still pulsed in my pocket, looming over us like a dark shadow waiting for its moment. As we pulled back from each other, the playful bubble surrounding us began to shift, crackling with electricity. Moments later, my phone buzzed again, jolting me from the warmth of my son's embrace. I glanced at the screen to see a new message: time is running out. You need to trust me. No one else can help you. My heart dropped, a gut-wrenching sense of urgency flooding within me. Thomas looked at me, his eyes wide and trusting, the innocence shining through his little face radiating warmth against the tidal wave of fear rising in my chest. As I stared at the screen, the shadows wove tighter around us, and I realized that I stood at the precipice of a decision with the stakes higher than I had ever faced before. With Thomas' joyful laughter ringing in my ears and the promise of adventure echoing in my heart, I wrestled with my thoughts as the weight of the decision bore down upon me. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but as I looked into my son's trusting eyes, I understood that it was a road I was destined to walk, even if it meant risking everything again. And just as the impending storm was about to break, I opened my mouth to speak, feeling the fragile threads of hope weaving tighter around me. When the world around us faded, the message's echo pulsating through my veins, the adventure was far from over, and more storms were yet to come. The air felt thick, charged with an unnameable energy, as the last remnants of Thomas' laughter faded into an echo of disbelief. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I wrestled with the interpretation of the words that I had just read. You need to trust me. The phrase loomed heavy, tainted with a paradoxical blend of urgency and the promise of gravity-laden consequences. What did that trust entail? How far would it take me away from my son? With a shaking hand, I put the phone down, the screen still lit with the ominous message. I could barely comprehend what I was feeling: fear for my son's safety, an unshakable sense of dread, and the mental architecture I had built to shield us was beginning to crack. This was no longer just about Donovan, Mom. Thomas' voice broke through my spiraling thoughts. His concern wrapped around me like a life raft, pulling me back to the surface. At that moment, I realized how fragile our world now felt, the innocent sanctuary of our home teetering on the brink of something I couldn't yet name. Yeah, sweetheart. I forced the words out, my throat tight. Can we go get ice cream? I want Green Mountain Mint. Please. His bright eyes twinkled with hope despite the shadows lurking just beyond our fortress of colorful blocks. That I and his wanting, I found an anchor. If I could give him this, a simple moment of joy in the face of the storm, perhaps I could stave off the encroaching darkness. Of course. Let's get dressed. The routine of getting ready offered a brief reprieve as we slid into the mundane, the playful banter picking up where the weight of the tension had left off. The evening air kissed our faces as we stepped outside, the sun beginning its slow descent behind the hills. As we walked hand in hand, I stole glances at Thomas, his small fingers gripping mine tightly. I found moments of solace in the presence of his youthful innocence. But even as I smiled at his excited chatter about ice cream flavors, the disconnect in my heart was undeniable. "Mom, look. A rainbow." He pointed skyward, his voice laced with uncontained joy, breaking me from the ache in my chest. I followed his finger to find a brilliant arc splashed across the sky, weaving colors into the fabric of dusk. "Wow, it's beautiful," I managed, focusing on the vibrant streaks illuminated by the setting sun, hoping to drown out my inner turmoil, but they twisted wildly with every heartbeat. "Can we chase it?" he asked, laughter bubbling in his throat as he tugged at my hand, pulling me along as he darted in the direction of the park, his little legs carrying him with unyielding enthusiasm. "Let's see if we can find the treasure at the end," I replied, my heart swelling with a bittersweet mix of love and longing. That childlike fervor, was it enough to navigate the realities lurking beneath the surface of our lives? The park was alive with the laughter of children, a cacophony of joyous noise blending seamlessly into the background as we approached the ice cream stand. I watched as Thomas' eyes widened at the display of colors before him, his delight infectious. After placing our order, I found myself slipping deeper into a reverie, thoughts spiraling into how easily he could be shielded from the darkness of my past, how I would do anything to keep him from ever knowing the depths of despair that once consumed me. But our moment was abruptly interrupted as my phone buzzed yet again, clawing my thoughts back to reality. I stared down at it, the words "I'm running out of time" flashing uninvitedly on the screen. I felt a chill take hold, stealing the warmth of the moment. "Mom?" Thomas' voice again broke through the fog, the tremor lacing his question making my heart race. "Are you okay? You've gone all quiet again." "Just thinking, bud. Ice cream is on its way. What do you want to do next?" I asked, plastering a smile on my face that felt more like a mask. "That I want to be a knight and go on a big adventure," he declared, bouncing on the balls of his feet. His passion ignited a flicker of hope, and amidst my turmoil, I found a spark in his bright ambition. We received our ice cream and settled on a nearby bench, a momentary haven amidst the chaos swirling within me. I tasted the minty sweetness and watched as Thomas savored every lick, his happiness radiating like the colors above. But my own feeling of contentment was short-lived, anxiety gnawing at my thoughts once again. In the low light of the evening, I hesitated, the weight of my choices pressing down. If I chose to engage with the message, would I risk losing him? "Mom?" He paused mid-lick, his eyes straying to my face, suddenly serious. "If you did have to go, would you really come back?" His inquiry hit me like a lightning bolt, sending shockwaves through my core. I wanted to shield him from the truth, but there was a weight in his gaze that demanded honesty. I stammered, grappling with the shaky ground beneath my feet. "I promise, I would always come back." His eyes narrowed, studying me, a look of wisdom beyond his years. "But what if I just don't want you to go at all? Even if it's an adventure?" A twist of guilt ripped through me. I yearned for bravery, a chance to fight my battles, yet here I was, losing a piece of my own son to fears I had never wanted him to inherit. "Sweetheart, sometimes adventures are important for finding ourselves," I began, my voice trembling, tearing at the edges of my emotional vulnerability. "But I promise you." Before I could finish, my phone vibrated insistently again. This time, an unexpected name appeared on the screen, one I hadn't seen or heard from in years. "It's time to talk, before it's too late." That I froze, the swirling vortex of dark memories flooding back like a dam unraveling. The adrenaline kicked in. All the warnings, all the hidden pieces of my past that I had thought lay buried returned in a surge, threatening to engulf me. Thomas watched, concern blurring the light in his eyes. "Mom?" I looked down at his face, a reflection of compassion in a world that felt incredibly uncertain. I need to figure this out, I whispered, feeling the boundaries of my heart stretch thin, my chest rising and falling faster. As though sensing the encroaching shadows, Thomas took my hand firmly in both of his. Then let's figure it out together. You can be my knight, and I'll be your squire. His sweet declaration faltered against my racing thoughts, but it lingered as a thread weaving through the fabric of my uncertainty. Just then, the last rays of light faded behind the horizon, and a cold chill swept through the air around us, casting our fleeting moments of joy into sharp relief against the chilling reality that awaited me. Suddenly, I was face to face with the aching truth: the adventure ahead could hold the key to either finding the light or plunging us deeper into an abyss. The burden grew heavy, as Thomas squeezed my hand tighter, anchoring me to the present. Together? I murmured, reaching a boiling point inside, the weight of the messages urging me to confront the shadows. Always together, he declared, a fearless smile illuminating his face as he lifted salted drips of melting ice cream. But even as he spoke those words, the wind shifted ominously, the pending storm rising above the horizon, dark and unyielding. And then, the phone buzzed one last time, a final, all-consuming echo reverberating through me as if the universe held its breath. I steeled my heart as the words betrayed me: if you don't come tonight, you may never get another chance. The ground shifted beneath our feet as reality settled over us like a suffocating shroud. The adventure was upon us, beckoning me forth, but what awaited at the end was more terrifying than I had ever believed possible. The air hung thick with unspoken promises as the last flickers of twilight surrendered to an enveloping darkness. I sat on that benched fortress of wood and splintered paint, my heart racing under the weight of the latest message. If you don't come tonight, you may never get another chance. The words throbbed like a heartbeat, resonating deep within me, but nothing could have prepared me for the picture Thomas had painted with his innocent enthusiasm just moments before. His laughter, once as light as air, became a haunting melody that played in contrast to my impending dread. Together. Always together. Echoed in my ears, mingling with the storm brewing in my chest. The burden of motherhood was evident in every fiber of my being, protecting him at all costs, yet unable to shield him from the choices I had yet to make. Mom? Thomas' tiny voice sliced through my cloud of worry. He was looking up at me with those wide, innocent eyes, the brimming joy of childhood emanating like a lighthouse in the dim evening. Are you okay? I forced a smile, a gesture that felt brittle against the tsunami of emotions roiling within. Just thinking about our adventure, I said, though my heart urged me to reveal the truth, to hold nothing back. But even in the sanctity of these mundane moments, the question lingered: what would happen if I led him into the dark secrets waiting on the other side of this decision? The softness of Thomas's hand in mine brought with it a bittersweet warmth. I looked at him, little knight, my brave squire, and felt the tightening grip of an unfamiliar guilt. His carefree existence shone in stark contrast to my own turbulent reality, and I realized that I was torn between reflecting my battles through him and wanting to shield him from every shadow I'd ever faced. Can we finish our ice cream first? He suggested, the urgency vanishing from his tone, replaced by a child's simplicity. Then we can go on our adventure, right? That innocent request sent waves of heartache crashing through me. It couldn't be just ice cream anymore, could it? I wanted to smile and say yes, to weave a future filled with his laughter, but I was also aware of the ticking clock urging a turbulent intersection of past and present. If I accepted the adventure waiting for me, would I thwart the innocence of this moment, shattering the world that offered him so much without hesitation? I began, swallowing the lump lodged in my throat. I need to make sure our adventure is safe. His brows drew together in confusion, and for a heartbeat, I could see the worry threading its way into his youthful exuberance. You're there to protect me, Mom. If I'm going to be your knight, I want to go on a big one. Forcing down a rush of emotion, I absently leaned back against the bench, the chill of the metal creeping through me as I weighed his words. And if I can't protect you? I whispered, torn between the looming shadows of my choices and the shining beacon of my son, then you have to teach me to be brave. He declared, his small fists clenching as though rehearsing an impending battle. You always tell me that in the end, love is the strongest power of all. His words felt like a balm to my soul, wrapping around the gnawing anxiety, but I remained unsettled at the thought of what lay ahead. Did I have the strength to walk into the gathering storm, leaving behind the very light I wished to protect? Just then, an elderly couple passing by paused, their faces lit with kind smiles, eyes twinkling with memories yet to be made. "Enjoying ice cream?" the woman asked, her voice woven from the fabric of years gone by. "It's delicious," Thomas chirped, his enthusiasm infectious. "And then we're going on an adventure." "What kind of adventure?" the man inquired, his interest piqued. I felt my heart swell, knowing full well what kind of dark quest lay ahead. "It's just a family adventure," I responded, adding a touch of lightness to quell the rising apprehension. "Family adventures are the best. Our granddaughter loves them," the woman said, her gentle voice wrapping around us. "You have to treasure every moment." "Exactly." Thomas beamed at the strangers, radiating warmth while I stood in shadows. "We're together, which makes it special." As they continued on their way, their joy unleashed a flicker of hope, but it felt conflicting against the encroaching fog that lurked behind me. The couple's words reverberated through my mind, a stark reminder of the fragile beauty that existed in shared moments and the importance of cherishing them amidst chaos. That we finished our ice cream with the last light of day, the sweetness lingering like whispers of a bygone era. Watching my son lick the remnants, I was struck by the way his little life sparkled with both levity and uncertainty, the perfect metaphor for our impending plunge into the unknown. Just as I was about to voice a question, my phone buzzed again, shattering the delicate peace. I couldn't look at it. Fear gripped me, knowing it was a lifeline to decisions I was unprepared to make. The choices were fractals of despair and possibility intertwining, poised to unravel. "Mom?" Thomas' voice broke through my frantic thoughts again. "What are you really thinking about?" "You're far away." My world tilted as I gazed into his earnest eyes, the guilt falling heavy against the backdrop of innocence. "Sometimes being a knight means facing fears, huh?" "Yeah." His cheeks dimpled with a bright smile that could dissolve years of sorrow. "And you're my brave knight." "Always." But just as hope surged, my phone buzzed again, its relentless chime echoing ominously in the air. "You found out who I am. Don't you want to know what's at stake?" I stared at the screen, breath caught in my throat, my heart thundering like a war drum. The invitation felt like a dark abyss, one beckoning me toward a revelation that could shatter everything. "Mom?" Thomas tugged at my hand. "What's wrong?" Torn between the love for my son and the pull of my past, I felt panic clashing with protectiveness. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just one more adventure." Forcing a smile, I masked the tidal wave building inside me yet again, knowing the path ahead was strewn with danger. Yet if I didn't confront it, would I risk losing a piece of me forever? The silence loomed like a storm cloud overhead as I finally swiped open the ominous message. I was on the precipice of a choice, teetering perilously close to the dark depths below, and I couldn't tell if the fall would drown us both. And in that split second, the world around me fractured, filing away the gentle whispers of love and joy, readying itself for an unpredicted clash. But in that uncertainty, Thomas squeezed my hand tighter than before, igniting a glimmer of hope amidst the shadows. Together, somehow, we would face whatever storm lay ahead. But just as I took a deep breath, the phone slipped from my hand onto the pavement, the screen illuminating the words that would propel our lives into uncharted territory. "You can't outrun your past." The chill wrapped around us like an irreversible promise, signaling the start of a journey into darkness where shadows awaited, lingering at the edges, ready to cast their long-awaited spell. The glow of streetlights flickered to life around us, casting elongated shadows that danced on the ground like looming specters. I remained rooted to the spot, my heart racing against the growing anticipation of dread and uncertainty, feeling as if the ground beneath me was giving way. "Mom?" Thomas's voice pulled me back into the moment, innocent and pure, a soft beacon amidst gathering clouds. The warmth of his small hand grounded me, but as I looked down at him, I couldn't banish the storm brewing in my chest. Would he understand if when truth came to light? "Mom, can we have another adventure tomorrow on my birthday?" His eyes sparkled with excitement, blissfully unaware of the shadows drifting toward us. I want to make it the best birthday ever. I fought to mask my panic, torn between wanting to shape a magical world for him and recognizing the jagged edges of our reality. Of course, sweetheart, I replied, though the words felt like ash on my tongue. What kind of mother would I be if I allowed his precious day to be marred by the secrets hidden in my past? His grin widened in response, filling the air with a sweetness I feared losing. Can we bake a cake? And I want the one with chocolate. You know, the gooey kind. The sheer joy in his voice echoed in the recesses of my heart, stirring nostalgia for the uncomplicated pleasures I wished to grant him, the games, the laughter, all the shared moments that now felt like fleeting shadows. Definitely. Well, make the best chocolate cake the world has ever seen, I promised, clutching the thin thread of hope that sprang from his enthusiasm. But even as I uttered those words, a dull ache settled within me, a harbinger of the disappointment that awaited. Moments later, Thomas took a step closer, a seriousness creeping into his gaze that belied his young years. Mom? Can we leave the scary stories to the grown-ups? I think I want all of my adventures to be fun and happy. I felt a pang. He was already discerning the weight of adulthood, manifesting a wisdom that far exceeded his age. You're right, Thomas. I'll make sure our adventures are only filled with happy tales, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady when inside I was grappling with mounting tension. But right then, the phone jingled in my pocket again, a cold reminder of the choices I couldn't shake. This time, the sound felt sharper, the air around me charged with possibilities that could obliterate our fleeting peace. A couple passing by held hands, their love evident in every shared glance, and for a moment, I couldn't help but envy their simple connections, so unencumbered by secrets. Would we ever reclaim such ease? My heart ached at the thought of what may be waiting for us just beyond the horizon. In the tangled web of my past, firmer in his resolve, Thomas gripped my hand tightly. You promised, Mom. You're my knight. Well, go on the happiest adventure ever, right? His fervor ignited a flicker of strength within me, brushing away the shadows, even if just for a heartbeat. I nodded, determined to shield him from the approaching storm. Absolutely, my brave knight. As I strode, hand in hand with Thomas, a familiar figure came into view, darkening the edges of my world. There stood a stranger, just a few steps away, a man who exuded an air of familiarity that twisted my stomach. His dark features were known to me, yet I had never wished to see him in my life. Is that your son? His voice cut through the night like ice. I didn't know you had such a beautiful boy. Makes sense, I suppose. My heart raced, panic clawing at the edges of my resolve, threatening to expose the secrets I had fought so hard to bury. What do you want? I barely managed, tightening my grip on Thomas, who sensed my tremor and looked up at me, wide-eyed. A simple chat, he responded, stepping closer. A grin spread across his lips, but it was hardly warm. You've got something I need. And I think it's time we finally settled our little differences. The menace in his tone was unmistakable. With dread pooling at the pit of my stomach, I crouched down and faced Thomas, forcing a smile, though every ounce of my being screamed to flee. Sweetheart, I need you to stay very close to me for a moment, okay, Mom. Are we still going to have cake? It's my birthday soon. He chirped, unaware of the storm swirling around us. Yes, well, have your cake. And your presents. Well, make sure it's special. I swallowed hard, trying to banish the clenching fear lodged in my throat, but the man, this intruder, was relentless. You know, happiness is quite overrated. But the truth? That's where the real fun begins, don't you think? You've been living a lie for too long. It's time we embraced who you really are. With each word, he was a harbinger of nostalgia and pain, a reminder of the dark choices I'd made long ago. My past was prowling at the edges of our safe little bond, threatening to ensnare Thomas in its ugly grasp. Mom, I'm not scared. Thomas declared, his small chest puffing out in defiance against the fear that clung to us like a heavy mist. You'll always keep me safe, right? Before I could even answer, my heart shattered into fragments, recognizing what I had to face. If truths were revealed, would they mar the sanctity of our bond? Would they change how Thomas viewed the world? Forcing myself to breathe, I stood taller, torn yet resolute, shielding my son with my body as the confrontation loomed. "Get away from us," I managed, my voice trembling yet fierce. "Ah, but freedom comes with choices," he hissed and took one more step closer, closing the space between us, a slithering serpent of darkness ready to strike. "And on your son's birthday, you'll have many, many choices." Suddenly, Thomas gasped, tugging on my sleeve urgently. "Mom, what does he mean? Is something bad going to happen?" I looked into his trusting eyes, and in that moment, I knew I could protect him, but only if I faced the shadows head-on. The echoes of my past would not only haunt me but collided with our fragile future. As everything spiraled, the intruder smirked, the glimmer of danger twinkling in his eyes. His words hung in the air like a crushing weight, amplifying the truth we both knew. I would have to battle my past and perhaps even sacrifice everything before this birthday became a day of light or darkness forever. And in that instant, I could feel the ground shifting beneath me, like the precipice of a great chasm drawing nearer. It was not just my choice now, but a decision that could ripple through the very fabric of Thomas's life, and it all spiraled toward a revelation I never saw coming. The air crackled with tension, thick like a storm cloud hanging dangerously low above us. I had imagined the moments leading up to Thomas' birthday filled with joy and laughter, cake batter smeared on little faces, and the warmth of our small family cocooning us. Instead, it felt like the ground beneath my feet was crumbling, ready to swallow us whole. "Mom, can't we just go home?" Thomas' small voice quivered slightly, his wide eyes searching mine for reassurance. There was no comfort I could provide that would soften the edges of the looming threat before us. I could feel his fear wrapping around my heart like a vice, squeezing tightly. "No, buddy. Just hold on to my hand and stay close," I whispered, unable to mask the tremor in my voice. "We're going to be okay." I wished I could believe the words myself. The man stepped forward again, deliberately invading the space that was once ours. "I wouldn't recommend running from your past, especially when it's as colorful as yours," he taunted, his eyes glinting with amusement at our distress. "What's one little birthday when you have a treasure trove of stories buried beneath the surface?" I wonder how he would feel, if he knew. "No!" I snapped, the quiet resolve transforming into a raging loyalty towards my son. "You will not use him against me." The unwavering feeling rose within me, a wild combustion of fear and fury. "Then why not make a deal?" he offered, his tone dripping with manipulation. "Instead of celebrating with your son, why not step into the life you've buried? I can make it happen, you know. Think of the freedom, the truth." He leaned in, his words a sinister whisper meant to squeeze my resolve. "Isn't that what you've always wanted?" His dark presence squeezed the air from my lungs, leaving me scrambling to navigate the storm brewing inside my chest. The fear that consumed me transformed into a desperate flash of defiance. Could he truly pull me back into a world of deception? How could I even consider it? "Mom, please." Thomas' voice cut through again, laced with worry. Closer than ever, he pulled on my sleeve, and it felt as if the world leaned in, listening. "I don't want to go anywhere. I just want my birthday." My heart twisted painfully. The query ripped from his lips made the shadows recede ever so slightly. I thought of the promises I had made to him, ones that echoed louder with every year, in both joyous laughter and heart-wrenching fears. It was his emotions I had to shield, not just from the world, but from the unrelenting dark corners of my life. With a desperate strength, I knelt before him, lowering my voice to barely a whisper. "Thomas, listen to me. No matter what happens, you and me were a team. I love you, and we'll get through this." If he could only understand the depth of the battle raging within me, maybe he'd feel less frightened. Maybe he'd grasp how much I yearned to protect him. The man's chuckle was sharp, it pierced through our moment. "Ah, isn't that sweet? But that bond of yours it could break." Just like that he snapped his fingers, the sound cutting jaggedly through our fragile moment. "Don't." I stood up, instinctively shielding Thomas from the man's derision. The sweetness of melty chocolate cake and the imagined laughter of gathered friends faded into the background of my thoughts. But a strange flicker of hope punctured the clouds of despair. Could I make an unexpected connection, something meaningful amid this turmoil? "I'll agree to your meeting, but you must let him go. He isn't a pawn in our game," I declared, sensing my own paradoxical wishes crashing within me. The man's smirk faltered only for a heartbeat, and I seized the glimmer, pressing forward. "Let's talk. But you'll not bring my son into it. If you have something to say it to me." "Interesting," he mused, tilting his head as if considering whether to concede. "Perhaps it wouldn't hurt to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Your little knight may just need to understand the true weight of being born from shadows." A chill ran up my spine, echoing the weight of his words. Could it be that Thomas, blissfully wrapped in the innocence of his youth, would need to know parts of a world I had shielded him from? My heart turned heavy with dread, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Just as a crack of possibility appeared, Thomas stomped his tiny foot, an eruption of determination. "Mom. I'm not afraid of the dark. I want to stay with you." His declaration hung in the air, carving out the tumult with a fierce certainty. A warmth ignited inside me, a reminder of all that was worth fighting for. "Of course, my brave knight. You're the bravest of all," I replied, squeezing his hand tightly, anchoring myself to the purity of his spirit, my heart shimmering with the tender essence of unconditional love amidst this unyielding storm. But right then, my phone buzzed again, and a small, unread message illuminated on the screen. "If you don't meet me tonight, the truth will come out, and Thomas won't be safe." My stomach plummeted as the implications unfurled like a dark tide. My son's laughter reverberated in my ears, shattering into a million pieces against this chilling ultimatum. I glanced back at the man, this purveyor of chaos, and saw the tension tightening around him as the stakes of what he sought became clearer. Whatever choices lay ahead, all that kept me tethered to any semblance of control was the love I held for Thomas. This battle was far from over, Mom. Thomas looked up at me, unsure, yet full of hope. "What are we going to do?" My breath hitched in my throat. The answer would set the course of our lives, and it was a precarious leap into the unknown. "We're going to face it together, my love. But we must be brave." As the ground continued to shift beneath us, I could feel the walls closing in as time slipped through my fingers. Everything would hinge on the confrontation that loomed ahead, each step drawing us closer to a decision that would rewrite the narrative of both our lives forever. And just like that, the weight of impending truths and promises poured heavy in the air, a storm of emotion swirling around us, ready to break in a cacophony of revelations that could bind or shatter our fragile world. The evening air had grown thick with an unsettling heaviness as the clock inched closer to the hour of reckoning. I tightened my grip on Thomas' small hand, feeling the soft warmth radiate from his tiny fingers. I needed to protect him at all costs, but the nearer we wandered to the truth, the more daunting the shadows loomed. It almost felt like walking toward a precipice, where even the tiniest misstep could send us tumbling into darkness. "Mom, I want to go home," Thomas murmured again, his voice a fragile whisper that tugged at my heart. "It's not really my birthday, is it?" The innocence in his tone was a stark contrast to the storm that raged outside, rippling across the night sky. It tore at me, each word lacerating the protective shield I desperately tried to maintain. "That we can have a birthday tomorrow, I promise." I forced a smile, though it felt painted on, as false as the countless facades I'd worn in moments past. "Well, have cake and candles, everything." But deep down, I felt the threads of that promise unraveling, each moment more urgent than the last. Suddenly, the man laughed from the shadows, the sound cutting through the air like a knife. "Oh, but promises are so easily broken. You know better than that." He stepped further into the fading light, his form more looming and ominous than ever. "Do you hear that, little prince? Your mother would do anything to keep you safe, but look at the price. What will it take to bury the truth?" The man's eyes sparkled with a wicked understanding, and the air shifted as the tension twisted and coiled like a caged serpent. I felt the weight of the ultimatum pressing into my chest, every heartbeat was a reminder that something crucial was at stake. "Stop it," I said through gritted teeth, determination flaring in the pit of my stomach. You don't get to decide our path. We will figure this out together, and then, unexpectedly, the weight of urgency began to shift. An elderly woman, whom I recognized from the neighborhood as Mrs. Gibbons, emerged from the shadows. She wore a concerned frown as she approached, her frail frame bathed in the dim glow of the streetlights. "Is everything all right?" she asked, her voice quavering, yet kind. "He's just trying to scare us," I managed, an unexpected surge of gratitude blooming within me. Here was a sliver of kindness amidst the chaos, a rare moment that offered a brief respite from the storm swirling around us. Mrs. Gibbons regarded the man with a critical eye, her resolve steady as she cast her gaze toward him. "You should leave these children alone. They deserve to be happy, especially on a day like today." This unexpected support bolstered my spirit. "I need time to think," I said to the man, glancing between him and Mrs. Gibbons. "You won't involve Thomas in this, it's between us. If you care at all about the truth, let me gather my thoughts." A smirk played on his lips as he nodded slowly, his interest piqued. "Very well. I'll give you until the moon is high in the sky. But remember, secrets have a way of bubbling to the surface. Keep that in mind." With a flick of his wrist, he retreated into the shadows, leaving a palpable air of dread in his wake. Thomas snuggled closer to my side, his small body trembling slightly. "I'm scared, Mom," he whispered, looking up at me with wide, glistening eyes. "I know, buddy, I am too." I pulled him into a tight embrace, feeling his heartbeat rhythm against mine, the connection grounding me amidst the turmoil. "But we're not alone. Look, we have Mrs. Gibbons," the old woman offered a gentle smile, her presence a soft balm over the raw edges of our fears. "I'll stay with you until it's time," she promised, glancing at the creeping darkness that threatened to envelop us. "You're stronger than you know, dear. Just remember that love is a powerful weapon against shadows. And you both have it in spades." I steadied my breath, trying to mask the turmoil that churned within. Each passing moment felt like a countdown, reminding me that the stakes were unbearably high. What if I can't protect him? What if my voice caught, hesitation clawing at my resolve? "Then you fight back," Mrs. Gibbons urged, her eyes fierce with warmth. "You fight, and you don't let go of each other." At that moment, hope flickered like the flames of distant stars, and I held on tightly to it. We were a trio standing strong against the complexities of fear that threatened to drown us. It was a brief embrace against the chaos, but it did not shield us from the inevitable reckoning that awaited. As the time neared for my confrontation with the manna bargain I never thought I'd way, I felt the specter of my past hovering just beyond my sight. It loomed like a vulture waiting patiently for its time. And there it was, another buzz from my phone, wrapping the weight of reality around my throat. I stole a glance, my heart pounding violently in my chest. The message glowed eerily against the low light, one that sent chills racing down my spine. "If you fail to meet your destiny, I will expose what you've hidden, and your precious boy will learn the truth about you." A breath caught. The walls felt like they were closing in, the air too thick to draw in fresh despair. Thomas' eyes widened in confusion, watching me sink within the inescapable tides of my own secrets. "Mom?" His small voice quivered again, increasingly anxious. "What's wrong?" And then I was faced with an agonizing choice: to shield him from the wreckage of my past or risk tearing apart the very fabric of his innocence with whispered truths. The decision loomed larger than the very shadows themselves, while the clocks relentlessly ticked away the moments we had left. I closed my eyes, taking one shaky breath after another, as dread settled heavily in my chest. Before I could even muster words, doubt gripped me once again. Could I be the mother he needed me to be? Would I find the strength to protect him from the legacy that darkened our days? As hope flickered and fell, I felt like a leaf caught in a storm, spinning out of my own control, desperately fighting for clarity and holding on to Thomas with everything I had. All the while, the countdown continued, each tick a wound, each moment a reminder of what lay ahead, a path strewn with unspoken truths, the echoes of my own fractured choices twisting between us. The night loomed like an insatiable beast ready to consume everything I held dear, the shadows reaching out like grasping hands. I felt the warmth of Thomas' little body pressed against mine, a tether to sanity in a spiraling world. His heartbeat synced with mine, a fragile rhythm pulling me back from the edge. "Mom, tell me the stories again," he whispered, forcing a smile through the tumult inside me. "The ones with the brave knights and happy endings." His innocence broke my heart. He was right, I had made promises woven from laughter and fairy tale dreams, and I yearned to help him see the light. But standing at this precipice was an avalanche of choices, each one more complicated than the last. "Okay, my brave knight," I said softly. Once upon a time, as I spun tales of chivalrous deeds filled with golden armor and gleaming swords, his eyes sparkled with wonder, and I felt a flicker of relief wash over me. For a moment, the shadows receded, replaced by the simple joy of our shared stories. My love for him surged, battling the darkness threatening to fracture our fragile world, but the clock ticked on each second, bringing us closer to the confrontation I feared would shatter those stories forever. I inhaled deeply and cut short the blossoming narrative, desperation clawing its way back to the surface. "Thomas, sweetheart," my voice trembled. "There's something I need to ask of you." His face was adorned with sparks of excitement, though uncertainty clouded the light in his eyes. "What is it? Promise me, no matter what happens tonight, you will stay brave." I searched his gaze, wishing I could carve our bond into an everlasting shield. "You'll remember our stories, and you'll remember that love always triumphs." "I promise, Mom," he declared, puffing up his tiny chest, mirroring the courage of his knightly inspirations. Just as I was about to embrace that resolve, the man materialized from the Shadowsa, figure adorned in darkness, infectious chaos trailing in his wake. My breathing quickened as he stepped forward with a smirk, a predator unfurling his plan. "Your time is almost up. The moon is high, and revelations await," he taunted, his words a siren's call unsettling my soul. "Are you ready to reveal what you've hidden from him?" A cold wave washed over me, fear locking in my spine as I prepped myself for the confrontation. I clutched Thomas tightly, feeling his small body tremble beneath the weight of tension in the air that clung to us like a thick fog. "That I won't let you touch him," I asserted, fearing the truth like a snake poised to strike. "Touch him? Oh, dear girl, I wouldn't dare." "But the truths? They'll surface soon enough. And who do you think will be the first to hear them?" His laughter echoed into the night, slicing through our moment of solidarity. In that instant, I realized was right. The very foundation I had built on love and warmth was shaky, threatened by the revelations with which my dark past had armed him. "You're a coward," I breathed, but doubt crawled beneath my skin. "Am I?" He scoffed, stepping back, like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of despair. "Let him decide what he wants to hear. Or perhaps you'd like to share your cherished memories. The real ones." My heart pounded in my chest, every word he said a whip against my resolve. "You'll find my truth on my terms, not yours," I replied, my voice steadying, though I felt the tremor. The seconds dragged into eternity, and in the exquisite tension of the night, I caught a glimpse of a flicker of understanding in Thomas's eyes, a hint that he sensed the waves crashing around us, even if the words hung unspoken in between. "Mom?" His voice wavered, full of wisdom that belied his years. "Will you tell me the truth?" A lump formed in my throat. Did I dare unmask my past, exposing my darkness to him? To the child whose laughter radiated warmth and innocence? Could I risk tearing our world apart just to face the unknown? But I could feel the boundaries of my self-protection crumbling. "Thomas," my breath hitching. "There are things I've kept hidden, dark things that I'm ashamed of, but they don't change how much I love you." As I looked into his worried face, I realized the words had to flow, or I risked letting shadows shape him into something he should never be. The truth had the power to set us free, but only if shared in light and love. "Sometimes, nights are born from shadows," I began, easing the tide of fright even as my heart raced. "I'm not perfect, and I've made mistakes that haunt me. Your father, yes. He encouraged, your father and I made decisions when we were filled with fear, and those decisions took us on a darker path. I thought saying goodbye might keep you safe from those shadows. But it never truly left us. I miss him every day, and I need to find closure. His eyes glinted with understanding, a flicker of compassion shining through. So, if you face him, he'll talk to you? Then we can have our cake tomorrow, I smiled, though my heart still ached with uncertainty. Yes, buddy. I think facing our past can open the door to our future. As I prepared to step into the darkness, I felt what little hope flickered become a roaring fire. Perhaps this was the adventure we both needed, an epic tale, just as he had dreamed, of love fighting through layers of fear. Moments later, the man's voice beckoned from the shadows once more. Your time has come. Are you ready to embrace the truth? I squared my shoulders, heart racing. More than you know. Yes. Thomas exclaimed, his fists clenched tightly at his sides, unwavering. I want to be there, too. We can be brave together, the rebellion surged in both of us. This was not just about facing the past, it was about embarking on our shared adventure, one woven from the threads of love and truth. We would emerge stronger, unbreakable, and unmarred by the darkness threatening at every corner. Mom, I'm ready. Thomas declared, his voice ringing like a bell through the suffocating weight of hesitation. Yes, Thomas. I smiled, feeling the warmth of hope flooding through us, knowing that together we would conquer the shadows and finally heal the wounds that bound us. As I turned toward the man who stood waiting, poised to reveal the deepest truths, I took Thomas' hand firmly in mine, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Because in the depths of darkness, we would ignite the light, we would challenge the shadows, and in our story, love would reign, always finding its way back home. And as we stepped into that uncertainty, I held fast to two unwavering truths: the bond between mother and son, and the light of love that would forever guide us home. In the face of it all, I found my final resolve: together, always. And with that, our adventure began anew, rippling through the darkness, daring it to bring its worst as we faced the storm with open hearts, a journey leading into the uncharted, unbroken, and breathtaking unknown, where love would offer us our ultimate treasure.